Provkörning. Min test drive. This is the new thing, guys. Here we go. If you're live in Linköping, you can reserve a Tesla instead of going to the showroom where they have demonstration about Tesla. Now this is how they do it now around the country. They're removing it from the showroom and putting it in malls. This is the new style for Tesla, and it works. And as you can tell, shopping center. Look at the crowd of people everywhere. This is great. Tesla, you did it again.
Thanks once again for joining us. Today, heading into Tesla's earnings, there's a few innovation notes to note about Tesla as we head to earnings, which in my mind suggests that the company is moving in a direction where it could actually make up a lot more ground than we expected as we sort of get through this period of difficult times for Tesla. This is Greg for Teslafaninsight. Thanks once again for joining us. If this is your first time, welcome. If you're a repeat visitor, welcome back. We also want to thank our Patreon supporters. If you enjoy the show, would like some better ideas on investing and trading, please join us on Patreon. So as you know, we've been doing fewer than more shows because the data coming out, first from the market and then from Tesla, has been sort of all over the map. And so as you saw on our open today, what I decided to do was to insert some footage from Sweden. We have a good friend of the show, his name is Donovan, and he's been sort of supplying us with ideas that I think are innovative from Tesla, and that suggests the company will do better as a result. And so there are two examples of this today that I'd like to review. The first is, let's go through what you saw in the Sweden video for Tesla. In particular, what I'm amazed by is that if you get a space inside the mall that's 5,000 square feet times 10,000, maybe even 20,000 a month, depending on how successful the mall is. But if you consume a parking space or two, that's a completely different animal in terms of the cost. But most of the benefits associated with exposure to your vehicles at a shopping mall are had. So I just think this is, obviously the car business has been around a long time, and having your vehicle sitting in the parking lot ready for customers to try out with no muss, no fuss, and nobody hanging over your shoulder in terms of the company people is pretty rare and impressive. And as this is rolled out in other places, I could see them moving a lot of cars as people are able to try vehicles out in this fashion. So please take a look, enjoy. As you can see, a couple of Teslas. They have charging attached with a giant sign so people know it's there. And as more people get an opportunity to book and try out these vehicles, I think the results will be excellent because you get more exposure without the cost of employees or inside the mall square footage in the process. So congratulations to the folks at Tesla for more innovation shown here as well. The next thing I'd like to cover is something you might want to call conflicting data. So perhaps 4 years ago, there was an article that came out that described the fact that the managers of Tesla are used to having every car change something in the 25% plus range every quarter. Why is that? Because Tesla, as you know, is 90% vertically integrated. And one of the decisions made by GM and others was that there would be only 25% of the innovation of a vehicle produced by GM is parts produced by the company. Most of the innovation is being done at suppliers for the rest of the cars relative to what they're supplying. But because Tesla does so much in-house, they're able to, from in-house, make changes that other manufacturers can't because they have to wait on their suppliers to make changes. So I have to say this was in direct conflict with what we saw come out with the new Model Y. I frankly expected there to be more innovation over time of the vehicle consistently to get changes as have been occurring already for all the vehicles, even if the outside of the vehicle does not look like it's changing. So the fact that they would shut down for 3 weeks, put out a better vehicle in the process, I think is pretty impressive. And it just has a real aroma of Tesla turning a new leaf. And I think long-time/new customers will really pick up on this, and it'll benefit the company over time. So obviously you could see, the new highlights on the exterior of the vehicle. Obviously, there are many quality improvements inside the vehicles that every reviewer has seen, every customer has seen, and so therefore we have to embrace that, and we'll see how the vehicle holds up as more people get it in their hands. But to date, those who've chosen to drive or test out the vehicle love the lower price than the previous vehicle. They love all the innovations. The only thing that's not loved is sort of the front of the vehicle light bar that was on the Cybertruck, because for those in cold climates, there's a shelf that develops that sort of collects snow and therefore blocks the ability for the sun or the lights on the front of the vehicle to project through that snow as you're trying to get lights out to the street. So congratulations on a new skin on this vehicle. I have to say, I've been scratching my head a little bit because if I had a nickel, I've had hundreds of people who see or owned or drive the Model S, and many of them have often pointed out that there needs to be an update of the skin of the Model S to sort of have it step forward. And so that vehicle sitting out there, call it 12 years or 13 years, sort of unchanged for the body, is mind-blowing to me. Even if, yes, we're getting new wheels, the profile attitude of the vehicle has changed. Obviously, a lot of nice feature changes internally, but not as obvious for the outside skin. And a number of well-to-do customers pointed out that it gets old seeing the same vehicle from the same company in 3 different colors or 4 different colors in wealthy enclaves throughout the country. So therefore, they're losing sales just because people don't want to see their vehicle showing up next door, et cetera, all the time. So I was kind of stunned to see the Model Y, which is the #1 selling vehicle in Europe and within the Tesla sort of family around the globe, get the update. Should it have gotten it? Absolutely. Why? It's the top selling vehicle that they have. And by upgrading it, it further solidifies why customers should make the choice of that vehicle. So that is good. But wait a second. Isn't the Y the youngest vehicle in the fleet? So in theory, the other vehicles should have gotten this upgrade before the Y did because they've been sitting out there so long. That logic doesn't hold water. And the reason is that if it's your #1 vehicle, you want to put your best foot forward on your #1 vehicle because that's going to enable you to boost sales. So kudos to the managers at Tesla who are pushing out, and you can see sort of their ideas to help the company do better, and having a better upgrade of your flagship vehicle, I think is a great thing. The final note I wanted to review today is just what's going on with earnings and what our expectations are. I'm going to call these sneaky earnings. We already know that the numbers are going to be down in general. But as you've noticed with Tesla over time, every time we expect it to go up, it goes down. And every time we expect it to go down, it goes up. And there are logics that we've applied to this over time. But I have to say that Tesla has a number of things going for it. In particular, we've covered the fact that there's something called the network effect, which means that if you have a vehicle and you live in an area and there are other Teslas in the neighborhood, and then you get a Tesla and your next door neighbor, across the way neighbor, down the street neighbor has one, and you have a question, you don't want to go back to the dealership to find out the question. You just ask somebody else who's an owner about how they do X, Y, or Z, and now you can move on with your life. And I believe elements of the network effect like this will impact what happens with Tesla going forward. Yes, there are angry buyers not buying, and their argument, I think, is valid. The challenge, though, right now is that it's a lot easier to work with Tesla than not work with Tesla if you enjoy those elements. The final note I wanted to make on this was one of the things I consistently have been surprised by with Tesla is watching, I'm not going to say school moms, but I am going to say school moms. These are ladies who, are in their, let's say, late 40s into early 50s, and they returned their regular Model 3 in order to get a performance because they might want to go on the track, etc. And I've never seen that many people that weren't guys who were muscle bound trying to get into track capable vehicles as I've seen with Teslas, particularly the Model 3 performance, because it's still lowest cost in the performance realm. The other sort of entity that's sneaking in here is take a wild guess at what the average miles per vehicle tire is for a Tesla. 10,000. Those are 30 or 40,000 mile tires. But there are so many people that are really enjoying the power at the low end of speed, but great acceleration, that they're chewing through rubber at a fairly fast pace. So what this tells me is that there are a lot of people that love the performance, but the challenge is that when you put that performance, let's say in a BMW or a Mercedes that's ICE, you now have the problem of there's a bunch of repair work you have to do that you would not have to do with an electric vehicle, particularly with a Tesla, relative to those burnouts. Yeah, you got to replace some tires, but there's a lot of cool down process, et cetera, that you would do with with an ICE vehicle that you do not have to do with a Tesla. So overall, I'm expecting the numbers from Tesla to come in light to what people were hoping for, but I believe that because of a number of variables, the market is going to kind of come out of Tesla earnings in a positive way, particularly once institutions are able to make their feelings felt on the whole thing. So this ends our formal discussion of what's going on with Tesla. The final part of what I'd like to cover today is just our health tips. Just a reminder, I wanted to add something called the 16-minute rule to your health tips. So if you look it up, what you'll find out is that there's a rule that says that your body doesn't register you've eaten until 16 minutes in. So if you want an easy way to lose weight, particularly let's say in the morning, try eating a carrot or piece of watermelon or, even a couple of cucumbers. And this would be about 16 to 20 minutes before you eat breakfast. What then happens is after you start eating breakfast, you'll have a sensation for having eaten already, and this sets you up for eating less because your body will have a sense that we've eaten. On the flip side, if you want to gain weight, make sure you eat whatever you're going to eat so quickly that it's under that 16-minute threshold, because you'll still be hungry, wanting to eat more, but your body, if it had time, would say, we've eaten enough. And so I just wanted to encourage you to try out the 16-minute rule if you want to lose weight and not have to take a bunch of drugs and the other things to do it. Once again, we want to thank you for joining us. This is Greg for Teslafaninsight. Just au revoir, l'hitrod, hodahai fez, drasuche, ni hao ma, kambanwa, namaste. And in Jamaica, we say enough respect, walk good man. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day, and bye for now.